around, get yourselves a drink. I'm just going to say a few words, and then I'm going to pass on to Nathaniel Hughes, who is here, who's going to say a few words about Dad when they were both young. So just first of all, I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for coming. It's really lovely to have you here. And we've got people here who've come from Newcastle and Wales and even Germany. So it's wonderful to have so many people here. And of course today would have been Dad's 80th birthday, so it's quite an emotional occasion as well. But I like to think that he's here with us in spirit. And as you can tell from the films, and you'll see from the book, he was a great believer in spirit. So I think that I feel that he is. I'm just going to say a little something about the film from the book, and then I'll pass on to Daniel. The film, I need to say two huge thank yous to my brother Aris Minton, who edited the film. Really, he watched many hours of footage to get it down to that 40 minutes, and to Martin Pickles, my partner, who's a filmmaker, and obviously we would never have been able to do this film without Martin, because of course you have no idea how to, well, I certainly have no idea how to actually make a film. And Martin managed to basically steer a diplomatic course through, at times, sibling disagreements over some of the editorial decisions. But as usual, Martin did a brilliant job, and we all agreed in the end with the final version. So that's the story of the film. And I'll just say a little something about the book. So the party really is a book launch for this, which is a short memoir of Ted Hughes that my father wrote in 2007. And he wrote it because he was asked to contribute to a book which was being put together by old friends of Ted Hughes. It was a book of recollections, and it was being put together by an American academic. And my dad worked on his contribution all summer in 2007, and Aris and I both helped him with it. And then, unfortunately, for sort of complex reasons to do with copyright, the book never came to be. So I had always hoped that this would be published. And after he died, I was keen to publish it, but I just didn't really know how. And then earlier this year, by chance, synchronicity, if you like, I met Jan Wolfe, who is here tonight as well, through an initiative we're both involved in to relaunch the Left Book Club, which is relaunching this autumn. So for all of those of you who are interested in that, please do join up. Anyway, that's a tangent. To get back to the main story, Jan is also was the director of a small press called the Muswell Press, and I talked to her about this project, and we agreed that the Muswell Press would publish it, which I was thrilled about because they do beautiful books. And then it turned out that actually they couldn't take on any more manuscripts, so I was left not quite sure what to do. We had it designed and it was all going ahead, and I didn't quite know what to do. So in conversation, long talks with Daniel and with Richard Hollis about what we should do, I decided that we would form our own press, which we did. And this is Westmoreland's Press first publication. Who knows, you may see more in the future. So this is how the book came about. It's officially out now, available on Amazon, might even be sold in some bookshops, who knows. It costs $4.99, but it is free to all of you, of course. So please have a copy, and if there are people, family members, friends who can't be here, please take copies for them as well. And I think that's about it, really. I think I've said my thank yous. Also, thank you to the Royal College of Psychiatrists for allowing us to have the event here. They gave us their members rate, which was kind of them, as obviously Dad was a member of many years standing. And I'll also say thank you to my mum, who also helped us very much with both these projects, not least by helping to look after the children. So this is very much a family affair. So please, lots of food and drink. It's, a party. Please enjoy yourselves. But I'll pass you over to Daniel now.
Well, I think I'm in the privileged position of being the only person here able to thank all concerned with those films for extraordinarily interesting and pleasure-giving films. They were put together, I don't know what was cut out of them, but what we saw was fascinating and interesting, and it showed Fan so well. I'm not looking at Fan and thinking, goodness, yes, didn't he have a good face? Wasn't he interesting? He was dedicated to his work. And they were marvellous, and congratulations to whoever won the battle, if there was a battle, about including the little coda, because Fan giving thanks, because that was Fan, absolutely, and it made a brilliant ending to the films. So that's how we begin. Now, I've been in another privileged position in that I've already been able to read this. And it's a memoir for Ted Hughes. Now, Fan wrote it as a memoir for Ted Hughes, but by a sort of reflex, it is in fact a memoir of Nathaniel Minton to quite some degree, and it tells you quite a lot about his life, about his early life and his later life. And so, thanks to the fact that he felt he owed it to Ted to write a memoir of what he knew about him, and you'll find some very revealing passages about Ted in the book. But to me, what gave even more pleasure than those were the passages where Fan reveals himself. And thanks to Ted in a way, and Fan's relationship with Ted, we learn about Fan's time when he worked in Israel, and I recommend that you read, and I'm sure you will more than once, the passage where he describes the Blue Room, which is a marvellous passage in the book, and utterly to be recommended. And it combines an experience of Fan's and Ted's interest in the Kabbalah. So read that above all, and thanks to, as I say, to Fan's determination to pay tribute to Ted, we have this memoir by Fan of himself in a way, which we probably would never have got otherwise. Now, in an oblique way, the memoir serves as to give a sort of sketch portrait of Fan. You can gather quite a lot about him, and with the help of Anna's note about Fan, you can picture him, sketch him at least just from that little book. And you can gather that after his years in Zurich, he came back. He was dedicated to his profession, to psychiatry, and passionately believed in the value of art therapy, as we were reminded in the film, and in conflict resolution. Not that that comes into the book very much, but that was very close to his heart. So that portrait of Fan is of a person most of us here will remember. The Fan who is a participant in the early part of the book, back going to Cambridge, meeting friends in Cambridge, is a person who lived before 1965. That's when he went to Zurich. In Zurich, he found his vocation. He disappeared off the radar for many of us for quite a few years, and he matured, obviously, and he came back a wise person and someone totally dedicated to his profession. And I'm going to spend the last few minutes of what I have to say trying to conjure up the Fan who existed before that, the Fan who went to Cambridge. Now, I went to Cambridge a year before Fan. At the beginning of my second year, I was at Peterhouse, a boy called, let me say boy, I don't know, it seemed natural to me. I don't know if it's natural in today's language anyway. A St. Paul's boy called David Ross came to Peterhouse, and he was a bit different than I suppose I was, and we became friends very quickly. And I imagine that within days I became friends also with his two most intimate friends, that was Fan and Daniel Weisbort. They'd all been at St. Paul's together. They belonged to an extraordinarily brilliant year of St. Paul's boys. Their contemporaries in that year were Oliver Sacks, Jonathan Miller, and someone whose name I was trying to remember on the train coming down to slip my memory, who the Fan and his friends said was the most brilliant of them all. He ended up selling antiquarian books and writing a very, very witty column in the TLS, and he died about a year ago, but I've forgotten his name. Someone can probably enlighten us. But no, they were all clever Jewish boys, all from St. Paul. And there was a fourth one, I can't remember who that was. And there was, in that same year, there was another boy who was not regarded as brilliant, but he was in the history class with David Ross and Daniel Weisbort. They both did history at St. Paul's. Fan, of course, didn't. And he sat at the front of the class and was regarded as a swot. And he went to Oxford, not to Cambridge. And he ended up as a cabinet minister, Kenneth Baker, quite. So they came from a remarkable generation of St. Paul's boys. Now, I should just try to portray Fan when he came up. He was quite slight of figure. He had beautiful, a lot of hair, but people wore their hair very long in those days. Beautiful black wavy hair, a rather pallid complexion, and he had this sort of little hint of lameness in his walk. And I, with my sort of literary preoccupations, used to think of him as being Byronic, and he shared a lot with a slight resemblance, facial resemblance to Byron. Anyway, that was Fan physically. Now, just to make the point that Fan stood out among his friends in another respect. Danny Weisbord was quite happy to sit silent for long periods at that time anyway. And I, at that time, my wife would not say that it holds now at all, but at that time I was quite happy to sit silent for long periods. David Ross was laconic in his style. Fan was a catalyst. If Fan was in the company, conversation would flow, because Fan was, well, he was sort of effervescent. He was uninhibited and endlessly asking questions. He wanted to know. He wasn't ashamed of not knowing things. He just would ask people their opinion about this, that, and the other. And so when he came to meet Ted, Ted loved spontaneity and curiosity in people, just as he loved the sort of animal spontaneity in the natural world. And he took to Fan. Ted, like Fan, was a very loyal friend, and they remained close friends, even though they didn't see each other frequently for long periods, any more than I did see Ted in the later years, not frequently. But Ted and Fan remained very close, and this very nice little book is a marvelous tribute to that friendship.
Well, I thought it was Vincenzo. He and his wife, I think. I think I can ask him.
Well, just go and talk to him, Mum, in your disinhibited way.
That sounds very psychiatric.
No, when you get to 80, you can say what you like.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. My parents. Yeah. Well, they used to speak a lot, didn't they?